Hello everyone, welcome to Ilian and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we're going to have Albert. Albert is from Ohio in the USA. So let's see what Albert has to say. Enjoy the interview. Amazing. So hello Albert, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. It's a privilege.
So tell me, how's your day going so far?
Ooh. Oh my God. So I got up at like 9:30 and Wolfgang woke me up a little earlier. He's wandering next to me. And started licking me and I realized he needed water. So that was why he was trying to wake me up. So we got him what he needed, and then when I finally got up and took my shower, we went outside and he was like that because it is cold here.
Oh, so
Right
what's
now,
the name of your dog?
Wolfgang. So it's Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And
Amazing.
it's called that when he's in trouble.
How old is he?
He's 13.
Oh my God, 13 years old. Wow.
He is a grumpy old man.
Oh,
Treats are only good for a certain amount of time, and then he has to have something new.
yeah.
So I have this like lineup of dog treats for him because His Majesty cannot be bothered with peasant food.
And how he came into your life?
So when I was married, my ex-husband and I lived in outside of La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And my ex worked at a place of veterinary technicians. He was a veterinary technician, and he worked at this with this veterinary who they found him in a barn, and thought he was cute. And of course, my ex brought him home because he decided that would be the perfect dog for me. And he's this tiny little Yorkshire mix.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, he's very smart and acts really goofy. So
Oh, can I see him or not? He's not okay. He's far away. It's okay. He's far away. It's
yeah,
fine. Not a big deal.
I'll send you a picture. He's darling. If you go to my Facebook page or my Instagram page, he's in there.
And tell me where you're from, Albert.
Originally, I'm from mid-Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm,
Right.
and I went to Central Michigan, which was a 45-minute drive from where my parents are.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm from. My accent's actually changed. I lived in Detroit for 15 years.
Right.
So this is what they call an upstate New York accent.
Okay.
And there's a belt that goes from like Rochester, New York, all the way over to Rockford, Illinois. And everybody talks much like this. So Cleveland, Erie, Buffalo, very, very similar.
Wow. So, and where are you based right now?
I'm outside of Columbus, Ohio.
I see.
I'm in this tiny little suburb that used to be its own. Well, it's a town of its own. We're outside of the loop, so we don't get a lot of traffic. It's just kind of quaint and kind of quiet, but it's 15 minutes to downtown,
Wow.
which is, in the grand scheme of things, nothing.
And why Ohio?
Well, I found a position. One of my former coworkers, who was a program manager that I worked with, said, "Hey, we need somebody in quality. You have everything I want in our quality department. Please come here." And he's like a vice president. So I come to this area, and I live in the town next door to the town of where the company was. I got the position. It sucked. The rest of the leadership was awful. It was a bad fit, a very bad fit. So I took a little bit of time off in between, and then I got a really good job in a suburb on the other side of town, which is only half an hour away. So I'm not really worried about it. And my boss went from being the manager to my boss is now a vice president.
Wow.
And the company is like, oh my God, I think their sales are in the billions, and they're across multiple countries and continents.
Wow.
So it's like, yay.
And there's always, sometimes you go through some challenging time for you to get to the right place. That's how it works.
And you have to tell yourself, this outcome has nothing to do with me.
Totally, totally.
I tried my best, and that's all I can say. You know.
And what do you do for work, for living?
I work in quality control.
Okay.
So I'm used to being in automotive,
Mhm.
which is much more stringent. So you have to do everything in very particular order. You have to have all this documentation available immediately if they ask for it.
Right.
So I worked in a plant that made electric motors, lighting, let's think, seating. I mean, I've done pretty much the gambit of automotive. So, and a lot of, I actually worked for a division of Toyota at one point. I was quality manager.
I see. And all your family are back in Michigan?
So my parents live in my parents have lived in the same farm for 55 years,
Oh my God.
which was a mile and a half from where my dad grew up, which
Wow.
was a mile and a half from where his dad grew up. And it was only 5 miles from where my mom grew up.
Oh my God.
So the family was like really concentrated in that location, and my generation has just gone poof everywhere. So
Amazing.
I have a sister that lives about an hour and a half north of my mom and dad.
Mhm.
I have a sister that lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which
Mhm.
is 4.5 hours away from my parents. And I have a sister that lives in Tampa, Florida, which is a
Amazing.
long ways.
It's a different part of the US, which is make exciting.
So we have a lot of Midwest, and then we have Florida, which, yeah, Florida is Florida.
Amazing. Okay, Albert. So during the interview, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life and also about your journey so far, okay?
Okay.
But before we start our journey within the Magic Box, I would you like to tell me what has been the highlights of 2025 for you so far?
So far, um, it's funny. When I walked into 2025, I said, okay, I'm going to make this year do what I want it to do.
Mhm.
And I went out for New Year's Eve. I got a New Year's kiss, which is something I haven't done in like 4 years. And I
Wow.
realized that a lot of what's holding me back is me. And it just kind of dawned on me when I got home when I woke up the next day and I'm walking around the apartment, I'm like, wait a minute. Everything that I want to do, I can do. I just need to stop putting limitations on myself. And it
Amazing.
was like poof. So it was a lot of fun. It was a really good place. So when I went back I took some time off from going out and
Uh-huh.
just focused on me for a second. And when I went out last weekend, I met so many cool people. And I
Wow.
did it just by saying, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to either meet somebody, not meet somebody, talk to anybody, not talk to anybody. It's irrelevant. Just do you. And
Amazing.
I met a lot more interesting people. So 2025 right now is about me, getting to explore without like even thinking about what I'm doing. Just doing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, this time of the year, it's such a great time for us to reflect somehow, and those, things just come to us and go like, wow, what's happening right now?
Yeah. And I've spent a lot of time like, this whole election cycle that we just went through.
Yeah,
A lot of my coworkers are all upset. And I said, can you control it? No. Is what you're doing right now going to make a change in these people? No. Then stop. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your peace of mind on
totally,
people that don't give about you. So stop. And just
totally,
say, what can I do for me that makes me happy and will eventually lead to something better?
totally. Wow, I
That's what
love
I'm
that.
looking for. And they sit there like, wow, yeah. I said, stop watching the news, stop listening to what people are saying.
Totally,
The news is it's not fake. It's so disjointed from reality and
absolutely.
pointing in the direction they want you to go in. Just walk away from it.
And they win because they do that to get attention, and they manage, because some people, they get so attached to it and they can change their moods and everything. So it's I know what you mean, exactly what you mean. Albert, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Yes.
Amazing. Welcome to William, the Magic Box.
Oh God, I'm worried. Actually,
So
I'm not.
I have him, my best friend. Of random questions. I'm just gonna play a song just for us to relax before the first question, okay?
Okay.
Let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, don't want to answer, always can change, okay? Right, first question for you is, if you could go anywhere in the world right this moment, where would you go and why?
Oh. If I could go anywhere in the world right this moment. So I would love to go to Damascus.
Okay,
I would love to see what's happening right now.
right.
I've read what that all of a sudden the things that the oppressive regime of the
Yeah.
Assad got removed, and people are actually able to trade and do the things that were illegal before, and they still, they're being respectful of other religions and whatnot. I just want to see it. I studied Middle Eastern history,
Right.
ancient Middle Eastern history. Syria is like the hotbed of that, along with Iraq. And I would love to be able to go there and see parts that are safe, because I know there's still some dynamics going on. But just to be able to see it before the U.S. goes and does something stupid and we can't go there. I'm honest. This government, our form of government's awful.
I love it. And let's see that you had the superpower of being there right this moment. What do you think could be the first thing that you do when you arrive there? Where would you go? Would you visit a place, or would you see something? What would be the first thing that you feel like doing it?
Two things. Number one, I would get myself some shish taouk, because, oh my God, it's probably good there. And then secondly, I would like to go to, I can't remember the name of it, the Assad Palace, because
Right.
I've seen them take video of it, and I just want to see it. Just to be able to say, hey, I walked through there. It really is what they say it is. Or, this is what happens when somebody doesn't recognize what's actually happening in their country and gets demoted and deported.
Great, great. Next question, let's do it. Hey, Albert, next question is, what's your favorite TV show?
Oh, so I watch Netflix, and they have a show. It's not TV, but it's a show called Chaos.
Okay.
And it's set in a world where the Greek gods are in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good. It is messed up. It is really good. So Zeus, and they actually go into the psyche of the gods.
Right.
And these people, and according to the Greeks, the gods were not pleasant. They were not kind. They did not care about humans. And that's exactly how they portray these people, or these deities. And the people that are being affected by it are starting to catch on.
Right.
And it's a really interesting show about the dynamics of people in power and the people that aren't in power, and when they finally decide, I've had enough.
It's something new, or it's been for a while?
It's newer. It's newer, and they just did one season, but it's good. If you got Netflix, Chaos, K-A-O-S.
I think I've heard about it. I've heard someone talking about it, actually. Something that rings a bell.
Yeah, there's my other one. I have a couple, but the other one is Heartstoppers, which is Swedish, and it is really cute. I love teenage gay love stories because I didn't have one. So part of my brain, of course, as gay people, we sit in a place where we don't get the, like the, you're 15, 16, your first love that's actually like interested in you. Or I should say, I never got to experience that as a person from the 80s. And yeah. So to be able to see it happen for somebody else is just gratifying and nice and sweet. And then watching them talk about mental health issues
Mm-hmm.
on top of that is good. And then getting to see the dynamics of these families trying to come to grips with what's going on. And then, just the usual like life things that, I didn't get to experience till I was 18 with my first boyfriend in college. And I just like the how it plays out in the show. It's good.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Right. Before the next question, as you mentioned about, growing up in the 80s and being a gay boy. So tell me your experience. Did you have the support of your family at the time? It was easy for you back in Michigan, or it was a bit tricky, difficult?
So I graduated in 1987 from high school. The 80s, like from when I was in high school, from 83 to 87. Yeah, that feels right. We had one openly gay kid, and he was on the cheerleading squad.
Wow.
And apparently he got bullied a lot. So he unfortunately did not get out of high school.
Wow.
He unlifed himself.
Oh.
And that really set the tone. He was a couple years older than me. That really set the tone for me. In that, when people started going, he's gay, they said, okay, don't mess with him. We don't want this thing to happen again. Don't mess with him.
Wow.
So I would have people that were like being mean to me, and the football players in my class would walk up in between of us and ask them what the problem was.
Wow.
So it became like a thing where, in my hometown, just to give you, I live outside of town. I grew up outside of town. In the town that I'm from, we had 5 gay kids out of 272 people. 5 gay kids, which is huge percentage-wise, right?
Absolutely.
And, I'm sitting there talking to like my nephew and some other people, and I'm like, so what was it like for the gay kids in your classes? And they're like, yeah, nobody messes with anybody. Nobody cares who you have sex with. Nobody cares who you're interested in, as long as, you're respectful of others. And I'm like, good. That's where it should have been to begin with.
Wow.
Yeah. But when you get out of high school and go into college, college today is much more, like there's gay bars, there's, gay groups, whatnot. When I was in college in like 87 to 91, there was one gay group. It was very small, and it was full of people who were very, I don't know, they just weren't. It was like the people that were the bravest,
Mm-hmm.
and they really didn't do anything positive. It was like you were just trying to survive college experience and get out in the world and hope that the world is better than college. And when I talk to people nowadays, it's like my fraternity. I was in a fraternity. Me and my ex-boyfriend at the time founded a fraternity together. When I talk to people from my fraternity, they're like, yes, our fraternity is known as the gay fraternity, or the gay friendly / gayest fraternity. And yeah, nobody messes with us. We have another fraternity, Lambda Chi Alpha. So I was Alpha Sigma Phi. Lambda Chi Alpha used to be the gay fraternity. There's a lot of gay kids that were in that fraternity, and we're like allies. So there's no messing with either group. And they also do a lot of things together, which basically means meet up after school and drink. So, and potentially date.
When you say gay paternity, it means you look after other kids that not part
fraternity.
Yeah.
in the US is when you're in college, there's a group of guys that call themselves brothers, and they like sometimes they live together in the same building.
Oh,
So
I see.
fraternities have fraternity houses, and the
Ah,
fraternity brothers that live there pay the rent for the fraternity house, but the fraternity kicks in money for stuff because you're using that space.
I
And it's
see. I
just these guys
understand.
that get together, usually, well, it was often, it was a lot. You'd spend as much time as you could with these people.
Wow,
And it was just like a bonding experience for just guys.
I
And
see.
then there's sororities, which are for girls, for women. And you would oftentimes have a matching sorority to your fraternity. And so you
Right.
guys would get together and host parties, and other sororities and fraternities would come to your parties.
I see. You just made my day. I learned something new. I didn't know about
Yeah.
that, Albert.
The US is
Amazing. That's
Fraternities started here like not long after our revolution in the colleges
I
as a
see.
way of like forming bonds of friendship that last outside of college.
See.
And they used to be like really demented, like as in they had hazing, which is where you'd actually hurt people as part of your ritual to join the group, which is very Indo-European.
Is
Where the Go
sorry.
ahead, I'm
Carry
sorry. Oh no, so that it was just basically to make to create networks for
on. I
people
see.
when they got out of college to help them out when they first started.
I see. Wow, I'm just thinking about this sad story that happened to this lovely man when you were young, growing up at school. My God, imagine for the parents and the family and the teachers and everyone. But somehow, I think the city itself, the parents, I think everyone got together and somehow they protect everyone
Yeah.
because of that event, sad event in a way. I've got goosebumps now saying that because imagine the impact that it gave to other families, other kids as well, and somehow it opened a little bit more of their minds, even though maybe not open, but somehow they respect more other kids, relate to that. Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as well, around the world, I'm sure there are some stories very similar to that, and I'm glad that you are sharing this because somehow, this new generation now seeing that it was tough, difficult at the time for people to be themselves. Nowadays, we are in a different world right now, but listen to that, it just makes you to reflect a little bit more about the past that we went through in the 80s for sure. Amazing.
Yes.
Next question is, what three things are you most grateful for?
Well, my dog Wolfgang, who's kept me sane for 13 years.
Oh,
um, uh, there's a lot of people in my world that I really appreciate. So most of what I do on my Instagram is about me talking about my life and what I'm working on as far as mental health and physical fitness.
yeah.
I get a lot of feedback from people thanking me for the perspective that I'm giving them because most people are not used to guys talking about, this is how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's hurting me today.
Yeah.
And I recognize it's all in my head, as in, it's not a physical pain. It is something that my brain is telling me is bad and wrong. And it's something that you have to sit there and go, does this really affect me? The fact that I haven't met the one in 4 years, does that make me less than? No. Is it probably my brain spending too much time thinking about things that I can't control? Yes. So I walk through all this stuff, and people talk to me, and they're like, okay, here's prime example. I'm at Sam's Club, which is a warehouse store here in the U.S., and I see this guy, and he looks at me, turns to do what he's doing, and perks up and looks back at me. And I'm walking towards him like, why is he looking at me like this? And he says, "You are correct. Dating right now sucks." And I'm like, okay. And I said, yes, it does. And he says, "I think it's these kids nowadays. They don't like appreciate dating." I said, well, I'm going to stop you there. it doesn't matter how old the person is I'm talking to, nobody's dating. So I don't think it's the younger generations. I think the younger generations are walking into this like weird, chaotic time where nobody wants to actually like do a one-on-one. You're my person. I want to know who you are. I want to know everything about you. I don't need other people as far as romantically or sexually. And that's the so that's what happens for me is like these people just walk up and start talking, and you just get really excited because you know people are paying attention and listening. And that's yeah.
Totally. So you're grateful for your dog, you're grateful for your social media, connect with people, and the third one.
A third one. Oh, let's think. What would be a third thing that I'm grateful for? My trainers that I had for the gym. Those people. I had a Marine drill sergeant. So the United States Marine Corps, he was a drill sergeant as a trainer, and he taught me exactly how to do everything. And he would walk up while I was working out saying, "Johnston, is that the appropriate way to do that? Are we worried about form or are we worried about weights? Form. What are you doing? Weights."
You mentioned a few times already about your dog. Through those 13 years, what's the most meaningful lesson you've learned from him?
Oh, so there was when I got divorced, I left our dogs with my ex because we had a house together and he asked to have the house because he was never going to be able to buy one on his own. And I said, fine, I will rebuild. I'm good. So I left the dogs with him. Well, our Great Dane, Odin, passed away. And then the new boyfriend who moved in, unbeknownst to me, like the day after I moved out.
Oops.
Yeah, before the divorce, was allergic to him. So when finally they got a hold of me and they said, we can't deal with this anymore. Either you take him or we're rehoming him. I went and picked him up. And it was in that moment that I picked him up and was holding on to him, and he was crying. He was like making all these noises, and I put him we get in the car and we drive off, and I'm sitting there like, this is home. This feels like home. I had my little guy, and I get back to my apartment and put him down, and he like was acting really like sore and not happy and whatnot. And it took about 2 months, and he was the little rascal that he is today.
Oh, wow.
So he, I got to sit there and pamper the heck out of him and make him feel like he was part of the family and watch him bloom back into the dog I remember.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Yeah. Amazing. 3 questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Hey, next question is, who is a celebrity you admire and why?
Ooh. Okay, I have a guy. So I was on Instagram. I'll make this short. I was on Instagram and somebody started talking to me. I was saying, hey, where should I go on vacation? And he said, you should come to Atlanta. And I'm like, okay. And we're talking back and forth in this little feed that I had. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I blanked on why I wanted to look. Well, I was watching my feed the next day and I see this guy's picture from a movie. And I click on it and I'm like, how do I know this person? I go to messages because that's a good way to see if you'd ever, and it was him. So the guy Peter Frechette is an actor, American actor, and he's from New York. And me and him we used to talk a lot. We've kind of like shuffled off from that because he's got a lot of new projects he's working on. But he's like one of those guys that you sit there and you talk to him and you're like, holy crap. He's like, he's an acting coach, and he has actors in LA and New York that he's coaching. And he says, I was watching your Instagram because you were like the most authentic, open, just emotionally present person And I really appreciated that. And I'm like telling my students, this is what it looks like. This is what acting looks like. And
Wow.
I'm like, but I'm not acting. He says, exactly. That's what acting looks like. You're not acting. You're just being. And it was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
So it's a lot of fun. I mean, I could go on about, celebrities that I don't know, but the interaction is what makes it so that that's a special thing.
totally. It's interesting. You just made me remember a story, a situation with me as well. I used to work in a five-star hotel here in London, and you know William Hurt, the actor. He passed away a few years ago, William Hurt. And I was doing room service at the time, and I didn't know who he was. And he ordered something, I think was a meal or something, and I went to the room. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you Brazilian?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I'm from Brazil." And he said to me, "You know what? Back in, I think in the 80s or something, he said he did a event in Brazil that the audience, it was the most meaningful audience he ever had with the reaction from people, very genuine and this and that." So when he said that, I kind of thought, oh, he might be a producer, he might be an actor or something. But I didn't know who he was at the time. And the way he talked to me, he was like approaching me in the room. And I was like, oh, that's so nice, like to,
Mhm.
this little conversation we had. So after that, of course, I went to reception and I kind of, I asked who he was and I Google him and I find out who he was. And I was like, my God, those people cross your life sometimes and even don't know who they are. And sometimes suddenly you just get this connection from. And literally, he was like staying in the hotel for a month or so. And everyone loved him. People from housekeeping, the girls from concierge, like everyone just had this connection. And all the time when he was calling room service, he was like, and I pick up the phone. He was like, "William, is that you?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "William, you speak too fast." I was like, "Yes, I do." It was so funny. Anyway, saying that, Albert, when you think about you, when you think about yourself, what's the biggest joy of being you? What do you like the most about being Albert?
Oh, so I'm going to tell you, I'm going to flip this around for a hot second. I went back to a plant, a factory that I'd worked at after being gone for 15 years. And I walked in the door and people were greeting me. I had no idea who they were and asking me if I was coming back and talking to me about the things that were happening in their career. And I'm sitting there like, I haven't seen you in 15 years. You remember who I am and you remember what it is that I liked to hear from you. So I give people the impression, number one, that I care. I listen. Like I was walking past a coworker and I said, "How you doing?" He says, "I'm good." And I said, "How are you doing?" And he says, "You just asked me that." And I said, "No, you told me the polite what? You don't look like that's where you're at. Where are you at?" And the guy stopped, put his head down, and said, "Yeah, I'm having this and this and this go on." And I said, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" "No, but thank you for offering. I just need
Oh,
to
that,
get it off my chest." That's me. That's who I am. So
oh,
I present this presence of like, talk to me about anything. I'm good. I had somebody walk up to me in a store, and there's this guy. He walks up to me and just starts telling me this horrible thing that was happening to him and how upset he was about it. And I stood there like, what the hell is happening? And I smiled and I nodded and I asked him, what his plan was with this. And he told me, and then he stopped and he goes, "Why did I tell you that?"
wow.
And I'm like, "I don't know, but do you feel better?" And he goes, "Yes, I do." I said, "Then what do we care?
Oh.
What do we care? It's all good."
What's your star sign astrology?
Virgo.
Interesting.
Most of
Amazing.
my risings are in Libra.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
I tend to be on that cusp of like perfectionist, everything has to be good, to like a little bit of chaos.
The
With
balance.
a
That's
bit
the
of
balance.
flash in the middle. And I've learned that there are certain things that I don't care about. I just don't care. So why am I getting worked up? Why does it have to be perfect? Nothing has to be perfect.
Totally.
They kind of balance each other in a way in my head that makes me like, as I'm getting older, realize I don't need to be. If I'm the best me I can be, that's all I can do.
Beautiful. Two questions left. Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me what's the biggest joy of living in Ohio, in your opinion? What's something about the states that stands out compared with Michigan or New York? There is something that stands out.
I've lived in 7 states.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Yes. It's Michigan, Rhode Island, Indiana, Wisconsin, Virginia, Kentucky, and now Ohio.
Wow.
What stands out in Ohio, there's like 2 things. One thing, oh my God, everybody thinks Ohio's flat. It's not. We're right on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. So this is 2 continents came together and rumpled this huge amount of land and then separated it. And Morocco is on one side of the ocean, was a part of it. And on the other side of the ocean is us. And so when you go to some of these places, it is beautiful. There's waterfalls all over this state. There's hiking everywhere. So I hike here in town, but just south of me is a place that I need to get somebody to go with me because I don't like to explore places where nobody knows where I'm at by myself. Especially when it's out in the middle of the wilderness, because there's a lot of trees and whatnot here. So, and bears. There are bears. So
Okay.
2 people are better than 1. And so Ohio has this like natural beauty that people don't realize when they think of Ohio. They think flat like the rest of the Midwest. But also, the people here, they're entertaining. It's like they want to be friendly and they don't know how to do it. But it's in a cute way. Like if I walk up and talk to somebody, they give me this look like, oh, thank God. Like I couldn't do that. You did that. And I'm like,
Sweet. That's sweet.
it took me like 4 months to finally say, why is nobody talking to me? Because you have to put the effort in to start. It takes, 2 seconds to put that effort in. And after that, you're their friend. You're in. There was this group of guys and I knew one of them and I had just met him. And I walk up and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And they all turned to face me and went, hi. Like you came up and talked to us. And then the next flash in their mind was, so having red hair in Ohio there's hardly anybody. Anybody. So I am like, when I go in, there's 2 guys that have red hair normally. There's now 3. I found a 3rd. And so everybody knows who I am. I wear this kind of shirt because I like this color. It makes my eyes green. And I have red hair and a beard. And they all just lit up. And they were telling me, and they let me right into their conversation. And it was a lot of fun. So that's what Ohio brings to the game. That and the city of Columbus has 11 gay bars, which in America is huge because gay bars are dying. And they have 2 rugby teams, which, people from the UK would appreciate. And they have all these sports that you could join if you like sports. I don't like sports. I hate sports. I love working out. I love hiking. They're not competitive sports. I don't compete. I just don't. It's not my job. So that's my spiel on Ohio.
I love it. Amazing. Okay, next question is, what makes you the saddest?
Saddest?
Yeah.
When I watch people at the bar and like even my interactions with them, when you can feel and see that there is something that is holding them back and it's inside of them and it's some kind of trauma and they're not working on it.
Right.
When I can talk to people, and what I've learned is when you start talking to somebody, if you have like a mission statement in the first part of your conversation that says, the reason I come here is I would like to meet people and hopefully find a boyfriend at some point. date, boyfriend, marriage, if that's the right person, and they will tell you where they're at. And you can see it when they're trying to figure out how to respond to you when you make that statement, how difficult it is for them to wrap their head around what they really want. And
Wow.
these are guys in their 30s and 40s, and I'm like, dude, by this age, you should have a clue where you're going, and you don't. And you're not thinking about it because you can go out all the time and meet new people and get that rush, that hit of a dopamine from that experience, and then you're good for a week. And I'm like, you don't understand. You could have that rush and that dopamine every day if you had somebody, but you're afraid of that. And that makes me sad. That makes me sad for the next gen. Well, for not only the next generation, but the people in my generation that don't seem to have gotten past that like early 20s mind frame of like, I just need the dopamine hit.
And the opposite of the question, what makes you the happiest?
When I start talking to people, like I have a couple of people online that I talk to that are working on the same things I am. So when I talk a little bit about what I'm working on in my videos that I make, they are like coming in with, okay, so I've started, this is my internal conversation. This is what I like to do with that. I'm working on understanding that expectations are bad, and you should always walk into every situation just saying, this is what it is, and not worry about the outcome. And I just sit there like, you're basically regurgitating to me what I've been preaching to you guys in very small dosages, so it makes sense. And I'm really happy that I'm affecting you in this way. That brings me a lot of joy when people can say that. And I've had somebody recently say, you know, what you talk about has helped me reframe my life so that I'm not worried about the things that I can't control, and I can actually function in my world and be happy. And I'm like, wow, that's deep. That says things. Now, this also says that these people like to listen to me prattle on in my underwear, but you know, bring them in however you need to. Is my
Yes, I made a note here about your underwear journey. You know what I mean? That makes made a note. I need to ask him about that. Last question, ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. Last question.
Yes.
For the last question, tell me what's the meaning of life for you?
Ooh, the meaning of life. So it's to help others in either understanding or doing. And that's pretty much it. That is the meaning of life. So in my current role, I am teaching people in this particular industry how to manage risk in their processes. And when I sat down and started doing it, these guys are all looking at me like, this makes no sense. Why are we doing this? I said, you'll see. We're just going to go through and you'll see the pattern. You'll see it. And we get done. And I said, what do you guys notice about this? And they go, oh my God, this is our problem. This is a big problem. We know it's a problem. We didn't know it was that big. We can assign numbers to problems and walk in. Okay, this is what we want to work on. Why? When we did our risk analysis, this says people are going to die. This is risky safety-wise, but it's also risky business-wise because of X, Y, and Z. And this needs to be fixed. And this is how much it's going to cost. And I said, upper management is going to go, here's your check.
Wow.
And they all sat there like, you're right. Before you could say, well, you know, it's kind of dangerous with having these semis drive in our yard without having them stop and having a gate and then processing them a certain way. But we didn't realize how it looked when we actually did the activity to see that it was the most dangerous thing in our plant, and we have no control over it. And it was like, that's, you know, that's one thing. I said, you guys can apply this to your life. You can do, I'm just like going off on, this is a really good tool. Use it in your world. But, getting people to understand, like the journey I'm on, people are watching, people are listening, and then they're trying to implement, and I'm impacting thousands and thousands of people.
See, great. I think that's the power of social media as well. And people there connect with us, and getting something out of it, or learn something, or sharing something, or teaching something as well. I think that's the positive part of it. Okay, last question is, tell us about your first kiss and your first love.
Oh God. My first kiss, so I grew up on a farm, and one of the neighbor boys, I had two neighbor boys that we used to mess around a little bit as younger adults, younger kids. And my first kiss was with one of them.
Oh,
And it was interesting. Like it was, I mean, you're young, you don't know how these things work.
good. Yeah.
And it was cute. I really had a crush on this guy, and he was my first kiss, and that made it special to me. Come to find out, it wasn't as special to him, although he does still follow me on social media. So, you don't know what other people are thinking or feeling, but.
And he's gay as well.
No, he's straight.
No, okay.
He's got kids and grandkids, and I'm just sitting there like, every once in a while I'll say, "Hey, how you doing?" And of course, I look like I look, and he did not keep up with that. So I just kind of look at him and go, we're good.
Anyway, he was the first kiss, first, you know what I mean? So absolutely. And
Yes.
he was the first love as well?
He was like your puppy love when you're like young.
Yeah.
My first love that was like reciprocated was my ex-boyfriend that we were in college together.
Mhm.
And we were together for 11 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
And we had our ups and downs like all couples do. But at the
course.
very end, it was like all down. And it was like, it wasn't coming up. I wasn't planning on resuscitating it. I'm just like, this needs to go away.
I see.
We're very self-centered, and I don't really understand what happened in my 20s. So I kind of relived my 20s for like 3 years, from 30 when I turned 31 until I was like 34, and then I got in a different relationship. But I was going to all the bars and having a grand old time, and it was good. But that first love was like, people hated us because we were so cute together.
Oh,
and this is back in the 90s.
That was your longest relationship?
Mm-mm. My ex-husband and I were together for 12 and a half years.
12 and a half. Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not the end yet. So let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's start with money.
Safety.
Fear.
Challenge.
Life.
Struggle.
Okay. Love.
What? Love?
Love, yeah.
Love. Exuberance.
Family.
What's the word? Chaotic. We'll go
Interesting.
chaotic.
Sex.
Exploration.
Religion.
Ooh. Root of all evil.
Friendship.
Safety.
Politics.
Ooh. Exasperating.
Desire.
What would be a word? Desire is, yeah. I don't have a word. Word association, that one's like not working.
No right or wrong, whatever comes to your mind. Wish.
Um, expectation.
Happiness.
Um, Goal.
One word for Michigan.
From Michigan?
Yeah.
Um, Forest.
One word for Ohio.
Mountains.
USA. One word.
Is shit show one word?
I'll take that.
Okay.
And the last one now, if you could define all your videos on social media in one word, what that would be?
Oh, it's got a hyphen. Self-discovery.
Like that. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your best friends. Define Albert in one positive and one negative word only. What your best friend would say?
Positive would be supportive.
Okay.
And negative would be one word, endings. But I'll explain that.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Irish goodbye is?
No.
You heard the term Irish goodbye? Do you have friends that you go out to the bar with
Yeah.
that disappear and you're like, where did they go? And everybody goes, they probably went home.
Yeah.
That's me. If I say I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'll be right back, that's a lie.
I love that. It's a nice way to just leave it. Just leave it without saying goodbye.
My social battery, I use it throughout the night, but when it bottoms out, I'm gone. I'm done. I can't people. So it's like I expend everything I have on the people around me. So
Wow.
in doing so, though, there gets a point where I recognize that I've done it. It's done. It's gone. I've gone beyond what I'm supposed to do, and I just kind of go, okay, I'm going home now.
Oh my
And
God. I'm just picturing all your friends when they go out with you. They always worry, my God, I'm sure Albert's going to go one point without saying goodbye.
my friends have realized that this is how I live, and they accept me.
Totally. Okay.
That is what a friend is. A friend accepts you as is because you can't change people.
And when they realize that you are still in the end of the part, they go like, yes, we made it him stay until the end. It was
like, how did that happen? And you're like, I don't know. One of you, there are certain people that are like battery packs, right? You can walk up and when you start talking to them, they energize you.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, oh, okay, and you just start going and you can actually build off of the conversation. That's rare.
Amazing. Okay. Let's play now, Albert, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, you can ask me a question now, Albert.
Okay, what is the best or the worst adventure you've ever been on?
Oh my God, what a great question. Wow.
Oh.
You know what? Actually, the first thing that came to my mind, it's I was talking about today about with a friend actually. In 2016, I was working for Disney Cruise Line, for in Orlando, and I was talking about it, and it's more than a positive adventure than a negative one, but it just came to my mind, and I'm just gonna go with the first thing that's it just came now. The best part was, my God, first of all, working for Disney. I never thought in my life I would be working for Disney World one day. Start from there. Second part is, before we went to on the ship, the cruise ship, we spent 3 days in Disney, get to see the parks for free. We went to the place where Walt Disney was drawing, you know what I mean? So I was like, wow. I was like, my God, how can you be here? And also, we got to see behind the scenes in Magical Kingdom. We were literally walking, it's all underneath, like everything happened. Before you see this beautiful magic happening, there's a lot of things happening downstairs in the back as well. So imagine for the opportunity for you to see all of that, And of course, in the ship as well was amazing because I met, people around the globe as well. And I made memories of so many people that still keep in touch with. But the other part as well, the most challenging part was about, I felt like a robot because I was working so hard, 16, 15 hours per day. We still you had some great time. I did. We still got to see, I went to NASA as well. My God. So I got to see different places. However, it was hard. I felt like a robot. I was like, my God, I don't, I feel I'm enjoying, but at the same time as well, I cannot like create a connection with the guests on the ship because it's too fast. You cannot stop for a minute. It was too fast. But I'm glad I did. I did a short contract of 3 months and a half. And I was telling my friend today that, it was a great experience that I'm so glad that this opportunity came along and I embrace it. At the same time as well, I wouldn't do it again because of that, because when I finished my contract, they want me to come back for another 7 months. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I love it, the opportunity. I had a great time, but it was just for the experience. Funny enough, I met people working there for 20 years, 15 years, and I was like, wow, that's amazing to see that. But personally, for me, it was just this short time, and I had the best adventure you can imagine. At the same time as well, I never worked so hard in my life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Adventures are often this yin yang of like
Yeah.
cool experiences and oh my God, I have to trudge through a lot to get there.
Totally, absolutely. So I could write a book just with those 3 months and a half that I spent there because literally, I'll tell you something, Albert, was one of the best experience of my life I ever had. I'm so glad that I had this opportunity. At the same time as well, I seen how hard people work there. You know what I mean? You work hard to make everything beautiful, and the children, they come and they see this magical happening. But behind the scene, it's a lot of hard work happening. So I got to experience both sides, and I'm so glad that I had this experience for sure.
Good. I'm glad for you. That's awesome.
Did you enjoy the interview?
Yes, I did. That was fun. Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being so kind and sweet as well, and being open and talk about your adventures in life. But before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Oh, positive message. Okay. Talk to yourself like you would an 8-year-old that you love,
Hmm.
first and foremost. And secondly, don't have expectations of other people or of events or of places. Just go experience.
Yeah.
When you don't drag what you think could happen into a situation, what really happens is much more interesting. And you can hear what people are actually saying instead of what you wanted them to say.
Amazing.
That takes all of the, it provides you the joy of understanding people as is and
Totally
not expecting them to be somebody else.
amazing. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again. Have a nice weekend. Keep in touch. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye-bye. See you next time.